the firewall that we're talking about, there are all kinds of firewalls. The firewall that we need to build, I say we, I don't mean we, but I mean we. Me, you, everyone listening here in Dallas, Fort Worth on 1190 AM, Lindy, Mom in Pennsylvania, and I'm not going to say her name because I'll talk about her in a minute. Every freedom-loving, everyone that loves their kids, everyone that's not among the elite, the chipped class, the class that no matter what happens to the rest of the country, you think you're going to be okay. The rest of us, which is probably, if there's 300 million in the country, there's probably 150,000 of them, give or take. So what? That's like 299,850,000 of us. I don't know. You do the math. I've never been good at it. But what I am good at, is common sense. It's knowing that when there's something wrong. And if I can, because look at the little time machine action here. I wish I could play it back. But last Saturday on this broadcast, at about this time, and I guess it's about 2:15 Saturday, I forecast that they would do the final health care vote on Christmas Eve. Do you remember that, Brian?
I do remember that. That's correct. And you were right on the money, practically speaking, right?
I could not believe it when they came out on Monday morning and announced they will be having the final health care vote on, sure enough, Christmas Eve. And people said, "Oh, you're psychotic. You're psychotic." Well, it probably fits, but the psychic part, not so much. The where I pulled that from is I'm starting to understand how these people think. And when I mean these people, I'm not talking about the president at all. No. I mean, he's a cog in their wheel, but the people and the way that they think is much larger. And the only control that we the people have is to build that firewall we've been talking about between we the people and they the government. And they the politicians. It's our government, but they're in charge of it. I'm going to place...
Or at least they think they are.
Well, right now they are, because we've done a thing one, nothing,
Well, okay. That's the whole point of the firewall.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly right. And what I'd like to try now, and folks, when I say try, this will be my third attempt. This will be my third attempt to
The count is 0-2. Jim Long steps into the batter's box. The pitcher winds up and throws.
I actually prefer to say the Cowboys, as in the shirt I'm wearing, are 0-2 the Super Bowl. Here's our first try. Well, watch this and listen to this more important. All jokes aside for a minute. Over the past week, let's start with the most tricky one of all. I've got to share this with you. And let's pray to God.
This is a Fox News Alert. I'm Laura Ingalls. Senator Ben Nelson of Nebraska, the last Democratic holdout on health care reform, announcing within the last hour he does intend to vote for the bill. Let's go now to Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid speaking live.
We wouldn't be in this position today without partners that I've had in this whole process. So there's Baucus, Dodd. I just want to say a short word about Senator Harkin.
Okay, now I'm not going to let the entire thing go, but
most of the work done.
This is important. Listen.
And this, of course, was done in the committees.
Knowledge on the coming days here, but this is a major hurdle that we will overcome in the coming days here when this product moves from the Senate to the conference with our colleagues in the House of Representatives. So today we stand ready to pass a bill into law that finally makes access to quality health care a right for every American.
A right.
Not a privilege for a fortunate few in our country.
Here it comes.
This month, 69 years ago, Franklin Delano Roosevelt outlined 4 freedoms: the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, the freedom from want, and the freedom from fear. And one of the great fears that Americans have lived with for generations is the fear that their child, their spouse, a loved one, they themselves will be hit with an illness for which they cannot receive treatment because they can't afford it. They can't see a doctor because they can't afford it. This bill does not guarantee you'll never get sick. It doesn't guarantee you're not going to die.
I thought they were
All they were
Congress, so they can do everything.
That if you are a fellow citizen of ours and you are struck with illness, or a loved one is, that you'll never again have that fear that you'll end up losing.
Holy cow! I didn't listen to all of that last weekend. That is incredible. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and the right to health care.
And in a moment, I'm looking for this spot where he actually says the words, "It's not a perfect bill. It's a good bill." He says it's a starter home. He uses the words, and I'm looking for it right now. He says it's a starter home. It's not a mansion, but it's got room for expansion. In other words, like Obama, which made Joe the plumber got so much trouble because he made him admit he wants to, redistribute the wealth. Remember?
Yeah, well, he was pretty brutally frank about that when he was off the cuff, off of his teleprompter with Joe the plumber, wasn't he?
Exactly.
And he was pretty honest that in reality he was going to redistribute the wealth, which he has no authority to do.
And Congress has no authority either, and that's the point behind all this, is that this, no matter what's in the legislation, this legislation is designed for one thing, folks, just one, for them to control it. You think those extra homes, those expansions they're talking about, if you listen to them, they actually tell you the truth in between in their smaller groups. They want a single-payer system, which means they want to control everything. In a moment, I'm going to successfully this time play just a few seconds of them reading part of the bill that Bernie Sanders is all up in here about. It's because everything keeps coming back to the board deciding, the board deciding, the board deciding. They throw out crap that the insurance companies all the time. They throw up roadblocks. Yeah, this is true. The reinsurance companies do. But you know what? We have a right to fire the insurance company and go to another one. If there's a single payer, who do you appeal to? Nobody. No one. Zilch nada. You want some reform? I mean, I'm no genius by any stretch of the imagination, but a couple things have come to mind. One, let insurance companies trade across state lines. Two, stop lawyers like John Elkhorn, the Texas top hammer, from screwing insurance companies every day. I hope he's not an advertiser on this network. If so, I apologize. But it's those kind of ambulance chasers, the lawyers that are in power. Those are the reforms that we need. Those are the forms. Hey, President Obama. Sorry about that. President Obama, if you were to actually do that, stop the lawyers from bilking the insurance companies and pretty much, doing Al Capone type. Stop the lawyers. Stop the fraud, abuse in it, and let the insurance companies trade across state lines and let them actually go to war campaigning for our business. It would change. You'd have your health care reform, but that's not what you really want, is it?
Well, that's because that would require open markets, Jim. And the administration that we have today truly does not believe in free markets. They believe in government-regulated markets. They really do. And you can see it by having a czar here and a czar there and a czar everywhere. I mean, do we live in czar Russia? I'm serious. When I hear terms like this, the healthcare czar, the transportation czar, the education czar, there's like 35 czars. Well, I didn't realize that my country has been taken over by the czarist Russia. I didn't know that. But what this gentleman just said, Larkin, whatever the guy.
Yeah, hark there, old angel idiot sing.
I think it was Harden or Harkin. What he just said was, health care is a right. Well, if Congress can declare such a fundamental right, then did Congress just violate Article 4, Section 4? That is the Republican form of government. Did they just change us from a we the people, delegated, responsible Republican form of government to an oligarchy, a congressional, top-down government, and we didn't even get to vote on this?
Every single piece of legislation they've enacted since they've been there, starting with H.R. 1, you look through it, every single one, even the cash for clunkers deal, they all have language in it for that exact purpose, folks. Don't be fooled. And don't believe me, I'm not asking you to. I'm just a silly little broadcaster that's pissed off and trying to do something for my country. Brian Malatesta, he's a smart one. You can actually ask him questions and get intelligent answers. But don't even trust him. Look it up yourself. It's all on the Internet. Stuff they don't want you to know, it's on the Internet. There are no such things as a free lunch. They're talking about what you can eat, how you must live, how you must flush. They're selling it to you as it's good for you. But freedom and liberty, without that, what's the point? This is Jim Long and
Brian Malatesta right here on CNN 1190. You're listening to Operation Firewall, and you're watching live at OperationFirewall.com. We'll be right back after this short break. Don't you go anywhere.